Hare Krishna. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to Vedisha Centrum, Vienna. My name is Daruka Vasudeva, and I will be presenting today the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita, the Vedic philosophy. Let me first introduce our spiritual master, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He's our, so to say, Acharya means teacher who teaches by example. So he came in the 60s from India to United States of America, and he then introduced this Krishna consciousness philosophy from there, and then traveled the globe a couple of times. So he introduced it to the world. He reintroduced it, so to say, the Bhagavad Gita as it is. So this is the book in Deutsch. You can also order with us or come to the Vedic Centrum or order via internet. So Bhagavad Gita, it says as it is. I have an English version with me also. Bhagavad Gita as it is. So Bhagavad Gita is a conversation between a man called Arjuna. In fact, not just any ordinary man, it's a great hero, a great warrior of that time, like 5,000 years ago or 3,000, few hundred BC. And Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, or God. So it's a conversation that took place on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Kurukshetra is one great plain that can be still seen in India. It's still called the same, Kurukshetra. And it's a place of pilgrimage in India. That's a place where this great epic war happened between the most powerful kingdoms of that time in the world. This battle, actually, it was a battle that was like, supposed to make a balance in the world, because the world was overburdened by unnecessary military strength and corrupt rulers. So one of the pastimes of God, why does he come on this earth, is to cleanse the earth of corrupt rulers. Yes. So that was Krishna's mission, aside from other great things that he did when he was on the planet. That was one of the main things why he came. And the Bhagavad Gita, so, is the conversation, is actually the science of the soul, because in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, if you will read, or I will also describe a little bit, but it would be really good that you take this book and read it, because it's really the science from there. It's mind-blowing, and it's really something, me personally, that I found like a bridge between science and religion, because it explains in a very logical way what is the difference between soul and matter, soul and body, and what is the really true purpose of life, human life especially, because we know there is so many species of life, but of 8,400,000 species of life described in the Vedas, in the Vedic scriptures, that Bhagavad Gita is one of the Vedic scriptures that also describes these things. The human species is special because the human brain and the level of consciousness that the soul needs to possess to attain human body is that can actually transcend the consciousness, that can actually understand the difference between spirit and matter. That is not possible in animal body or in any other type of body, just in the human body, because it's the evolution of the soul that is allowing that to happen. Or so to say, being fed up with chewing the chewed, or living in the same patterns all over and over again, living on the four pillars of material life, which is eating, sleeping, sex life, and defending. So these are the four pillars of material life. So the Bhagavad Gita can explain us, is like a manuscript or a guide how to exit, how to escape from these patterns of life, which is present in any life form, from a microbe to a human, to even demigod or demon life that is also present in this universe. So before I start further, I would like to actually first make one prayer to our founder Acharya Guru, to my own Guru Maharaj, personal Guru Maharaj, who initiated me in the Hare Krishna mantra and gave me the name Daruka Vasudeva, Swami. And his Guru Maharaj is Bhaktivedanta Swami, Prabhupada. And so this Guru-disciple line, or disciple successions, are very ancient actually. It's called Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So the Hare Krishna movement is a part of this Sampradaya. Sampradaya means disciplic succession. So Guru-disciple, so on. Yeah? It's an unbroken, one of the few remaining unbroken lines of disciplic succession. It's called Brahma because it came from Brahma. Brahma is the first created being in the universe. He's the creator of all, the All-Father. So when God created the universe, He created Brahma, and the Brahma created everything else from the elements, and all the living beings, all the souls came and adopted these bodies. And so we need to honor them and ask their blessings. So I will do that right now, so that I can carry this message to you, unbroken, unchanged by my personal. It's different when you have a personal understanding, but it's different when you, with your imperfect senses, have your different interpretations. So the message can get lost, like the broken. I'm from Croatia. We had when I was a child, we had a game. It's called a broken telephone. You would whisper something, maybe somebody, grandfather is sitting on the bed, and then you whisper to the ear of the next kid, and then he says grandfather was sitting on a sofa. He would maybe think bed, but he would say sofa. So this message is getting lost. But with the spiritual knowledge, it's very good taken care of, that messages are not misinterpreted, lost, and that's why there is a very strict disciplic succession. So I extended a little bit this explanation, but I will now do the prayer. Hare Krishna. Rama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtha Bhutala Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityananda Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharya Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatari Jai Shri Prabhupada. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtha Bhutala Srimate Jaya Pataka Swami Nityananda Namacharya Padanta Kripa Pradana Gora Patadana Nagaradana Namo Mahavadana Krishna Prema Pradate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gora Krishna Vancha Kalpatarudusha Kripa Sindhu Eva Chapatitana Pavaran Vaishnava. So the first two mantras I chanted, there was in honor of Bhaktivedanta Swami, the founder Acharya of Hare Krishna movement, and my own Guru Maharaj. And the second two mantras, there was prayer to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is the Yuga avatar, or the one that actually inaugurated Hare Krishna mantra as the most powerful, or the main religious practice, most fruitful in this age. And last one I chanted was the of him, or those who are dedicated their life to serving God, they're called Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna. So yes, the point was that the message of or the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita was unchanged. Because, for example, in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna that actually this knowledge was already known before to man, because he passed it on to Vivasvan, the sun god, who's passed it on to Ikshvaku, the one of the first men on the earth, because to Manu, actually Manu is the name, Ikshvaku, and then to Manu. And he passed it on again, but the message was lost, as the broken telephone goes. As the kids, go, if there is no written record and somebody is not being very attentive, so he will maybe hear wrong and say wrong, maybe not in the bad intention. Sometimes it happens in some religions, or some religious teachings actually come some people with material motives. They intentively change the message because they want to hide the real knowledge, because they want, for example, to use the religion for some attaining some material goals. They have material motive, no spiritual motive. Yeah. So unfortunately, this is some bad side effects of institutionalized religion. That we have these people that are not having a spiritual perspective, but actually they're using the teachings, or maybe like taking some part out, just getting one part, presenting one part, so actually they don't want the real knowledge to be disclosed. So what is the difference in the Bhagavad Gita is actually that everything is very clear. Everything is very well explained by God Himself, by Krishna, and it is very scientific also. You can also, there is different types of meditation and yoga described in the Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters. In the beginning, there is actually an introduction part. There Arjuna, who is the warrior actually, and he was one of the leaders of, or the leading warrior of the side of the light side, so to say. So there is a dark side and the light side. One of the light side, or the side that was fighting for true religious principles in this war, was called the Pandavas. Pandavas are the 5 sons of Pandava. They're all 5 of them great warriors, but among them Arjuna is the most famous. So Krishna actually, God, because he is impartial, he decided to not take direct part in the war, not fighting with his weapons, because God is all powerful and he can very easily kill everybody. To the part of killing we will come a little bit later, because the soul actually cannot be killed, but only the body can be killed, but that's explained a bit later. So now we will just explain how Arjuna was in a dilemma. Arjuna had a doubt, because in the opposite side, the dark side, so to say, which is led by Duryodhana, and his 99, there was 100 Kuru brothers of the Kuru clan, Kuru dynasty. So they are called Kauravas, yeah? And there are many other kings actually joined them with their armies, and their army was actually greater. And many great warriors was present. Bhishma, which was the grandfather of the both parties, great warrior. Drona and others, very great warriors. So actually Arjuna was not afraid of them to fight them, because he himself was a great warrior, a great hero. Maharata in the Vedic times was the great warriors that can fight with many other warriors alone. So they had mystical weapons, mystical arrows, so things that maybe will not be very trustworthy to a common scientific mind of today that believes only in material things. So in ancient times, warriors had mystical weapons, and actually in the Kurukshetra field in India, there is still the radiation can be measured. So like radiation in a sense that like atomic bombs could be, it could be that there was thrown atomic bombs, but perhaps not the one that they need to put a lot of uranium or other some. I'm not expert on this nuclear science, but some other type of technology that they need to use to make a big bomb. They had such mantras that they would chant, and such arrows that possess immense power. But that's another story. That for somebody could be a mythology, for somebody other could be spiritual science. So that's actually up to the individual to decide if he wants to believe or not. I personally believe it. So Arjuna had this doubt because he did not want to kill his relatives, cousins, grandfather Bhishma, his teacher Drona, and so many family members on the opposite party actually, which was actually against religious principles. So normally in the Vedic time, the Vedic society, that is conducted out of 4 castes: Brahmanas, the priests, intellectual class, the Kshatriyas, the warriors, the administrative class, then the Vaishyas, the businessmen or farmers, bankers, and Shudras, the working class. So Arjuna was a Kshatriya, and Kshatriya's duties was to protect religious principles, to protect Dharma. And actually, it is against Dharma, against religion, religious principles, against virtue, to kill one's teachers or relatives or things like, or people like that. So actually, Arjuna was in a big doubt, in a big dilemma, and he actually decided he will not fight. And then he actually he took Krishna as his guide. He actually disclosed this to Krishna. He said, "I will not fight, Krishna. What happiness is there if I win the kingdom, and if I defeat when everybody that actually I would like to have it for, relatives, teachers, and elders, are killed by my hand?" So he did not see happiness coming after that, what he did. But actually Krishna had another perspective, actually a really spiritual perspective, and then what follows is the whole spiritual science of the soul, how actually soul cannot be killed, cannot be cut, cannot be made wet, that only the body is killed, and actually that all this war is happening by his own will, and that whatever he does in this war, actually that he will by declining to fight, which is his duty as a warrior, he will actually not gain any happiness. He will be ridiculed, he will be laughed at as somebody who withdrawn from the war as a coward or because of fear. He will he told him, you speak very righteously, like very scholarly, very high words, but actually you will be just a fool if you abandon your duties as a warrior, because there is always, for example, there is rules of war, there is religious principles that has to be protected by these holy warriors, but there is always a higher principle, and this at that time, because some of these relatives or teachers, they was corrupted by some providence, by how to say, like destiny. Destiny is a funny concept, because there is destiny and there is free will, but we will discuss this later. So by their own free will, together with destiny combined, they was actually corrupted. And Arjuna was convinced by Krishna that he would not bear any sin, and there would not be any shame for him later by acting on true religious principles and actually winning back his kingdom that was taken from them by trickery, by many unfair cheating ways by the opposite party, the Kauravas. That actually, that's a story of Mahabharata. You would have to read also. It's another book. There is a very nice, a long, 5-hour long movie made by Peter Brook. You can find it on YouTube. It's very nice. It's very like theatrical. It's made by theater actors, not by just movie actors, all around the world. So it's very nice to watch. I recommend this. So then Arjuna was then convinced by Krishna then that he needs to actually engage, and that he will fight. And then the whole the philosophy, actually the science of the soul, is being explained by Krishna to Arjuna in this Bhagavad Gita. Yeah? So it's actually like ever fresh. For example, me, when I read Bhagavad Gita, I was like really, my mind was blown away. It was finally some missing links that I found that was missing in some other religions, because I don't want to speak against other religions. Actually, there is a saying that we are taught by Srila Prabhupada, our founder, that as the bee collects pollen from all flowers, so in the same way the intellectual person or a wise man or a woman would collect essence or knowledge from all religion. So very nice metaphor, the flowers and the pollen and the wisdom of religions. But because I came from a Christian background and Muslim also, because we was close, I'm from Croatia, and there is Bosnia close, and so the Turks was there, and one part of my family is from there, so I was also introduced to Islam. There is this knowledge, but it's not so detailed. You don't understand it very well, because many of them, they're like it's made for common folk. It's not meant for really, if you want to dig deep, if you want to, there is the truth, the bits of truth are everywhere in all religions. But if you want to dive deep, and if you want to get detailed knowledge about God and about soul and about meaning of life, then I'm afraid, as we have to dig in the Vedas, in the Vedic scriptures, which is the oldest religious scriptures in the world. Sanatana Dharma is the oldest religion, is the mother of all religions. So you will have to read Bhagavad Gita. So sometimes I play, because this is a very spontaneous presentation and class that I'm giving. We will have for example, like when I have some questions in my mind, even though I read the book several times, sometimes I just open randomly. I call it the magic finger. So I have some questions. Oh, please Krishna, please God, there is something important I need to decide in my life. So give me an answer. So the Bhagavad Gita gives me an answer. So it's a game. So by my personal thing, you don't have to do it. But if you like it, you can also do it. So Bhagavad Gita, as I said, has 18 chapters, and I really strongly recommend reading it with the commentaries from the beginning to the end. One more thing is that there is many translations of the Bhagavad Gita, but most of them actually are not really translated properly. Some perspectives, some personal perspectives are put in there, preferences, and why this is called Bhagavad Gita as it is, translated by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, because actually it is the most, because he is a Sanskrit scholar from his birth, from a priestly family, Brahmin family from India, and he knows English very well, so he translated it in English first, and then his disciples in many other languages. And it's called Bhagavad Gita as it is, but because the message is translated as it is, they did not put some personal meaning to that. They translated it as as a universal, in a universal sense. Like for example, there is so many personal perspective one can have, or that is actually connected with the false ego, or for example with the limited perception. Like for example, in one country they call God Allah, in one other country they call God Jehovah, or let's maybe not move away from the God concept. Let's say the sun. Okay, most religious people they would also find sun very important, or like a eye of God, or a moon, another night eye of God. So in one country the sun is called sun, in another country it's called sunce, like in Croatia, my country. So in another country it's called sol, in Spain for example, sol, but it's actually the same sun. So like that is actually God is one. Many people, spiritual people, not just religious people, will agree God is one. They just call different names, and in different countries. So also you cannot call God is Muslim. Only Muslim there is Allah. It's only God. No, actually it is true, but it's not true also, because in another country they call it Krishna. They have a different perspective, different understanding of God, according to their personal realization. So like this we can find actually I think if we are open-minded, not just limited to our own perspective, our own nation, our own country, our own religion, then we can actually understand there is more dimensions, and God is unlimited. He has many names, many religions, many ways how to approach Him according to one's own desire and according to one's own level of understanding. But as I find it, like in a scientific, like evolutionary process, you will want to find more details about God if you want to come closer to God. Yeah. So one of these ways is definitely the Bhagavad Gita. So we can now continue with my proposal as a magic finger. So we said there is 18 chapters. We will not go one by one. Maybe some other time we can organize in this way that we will explain chapter by chapter, which is like, as I said, the introduction, and then this is described so many different ways of yoga. Yoga means linking with God, connecting. Yoga. So yogi is a person. Many different spiritualists or religious people, they're yogis. It's just not called yoga in their country. It's called prayer, or it's called like they have these pilgrimages. Yeah, they do sometimes. Like in Croatia, there is this in Herzegovina. People from all around, they go. It's a Christian, it's a Catholic site where Holy Mother Mary appeared. They say. So many people go religious. So it's also like, austerity. It's like penance they do. So it's also a type of yoga. So there are many types of yoga, like karma yoga, jnana yoga. Jnana yoga, for example, is a yoga of cultivating knowledge, of of sharpening your mind, your wisdom, and speculating and logically coming to some understanding about God and about meaning of life. So that's Jnana Yoga, and so there is different Hatha Yoga. Hatha Yoga, for example, is one that is involved with physical exercise, or they call it in Sanskrit language tapasya. By the way, Bhagavad Gita is written in Sanskrit language, and Sanskrit language is according to some historians and linguists, it's mother of all languages. They can find bits and traces of Sanskrit in every language. So it could be, my personal speculation is that, before the Tower of Babylon, everybody was speaking Sanskrit. And they say also in the Vedas that still the demigods in the heavenly planets, which is already described in the Vedas, there is different dimensions in the universe. There is heavenly planets where the great, very advanced beings live, and they're like a government of the universe. They keep order of the universe. They're called demigods. Maybe in some other religion they're called angels. And then there is Earth. Earth is like a middle point of the universe. One of the best places or planets to cultivate knowledge and to actually come to understanding of God, to transcend the consciousness. Yeah, that's why it's so precious, the human form of life. It's also described in the Bhagavad Gita. So, and there is, of course, the lower planets, the demonic planets. There is altogether 14 loka. Loka is the dimension. 14 there is, yeah? 14 dimensions. 7 higher ones. Of the 7 higher ones, Earth is the first, and the 7 lower ones. So there is heavenly planets, Earth, hellish planets, and everything in between. Yes, so I propose we start with the first, what Krishna has to say in the first magic finger opening. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay, so there is the Sanskrit. You see, this is the Sanskrit here. Then there is a translation word by word, as accurate it can be, translated to English by Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and then there is a translation of the line, shloka. One shloka means one line, one text. Yeah. So we open right now on the second chapter. Oh, excuse me, no, it's chapter 4, text 36. We open right now. So let me read the Sanskrit. It's very nice to read the Sanskrit because Sanskrit has a certain power that when you read it, really this meaning somehow is mystically easier to comprehend or to understand when you read the Sanskrit. So I recommend anybody who gets the Bhagavad Gita to read the Sanskrit also, not only the translation. Yeah. So let's start with the Sanskrit. Api ched asi pabhyah sarvebhyah papakritamaha sarvam jnana plavanaiva vrijnam santarishyasi. So this text was saying, even if you excuse me, even if you are considered to be the most sinful of the sinners, when you are situated in the boat of transcendental knowledge, you will be able to cross over the ocean of miseries. So Krishna actually, this is Krishna speaking to Arjuna. So let's read the purport of every line. Text has a purport, has actually the line or this text explained by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So it's really also important, in my opinion, to read this because to have a proper understanding, because we can maybe understand well if we are very advanced spiritually, naturally, somehow. But it's actually, even then, it's really important to read the statements or the opinions of Guru. So, not to be too proud and to hear from the Guru. So we have 3 ways actually of attaining knowledge in a yoga, in a yogi life, yogi's life. Yogi attains knowledge through 3 sources. One is Guru, the other is Sadhu or the other yogis or the more advanced yogis than himself, and then Shastra. Shastra means the holy scriptures. The Vedic scriptures or the Bhagavad Gita is one of them, or other religious scriptures. So let's read the purport. Proper understanding of one constitutional position in a relationship to Krishna is so nice that it can at once lift one from the struggle of existence which goes on in the ocean of nascence. This material world is sometimes regarded as an ocean of nascence and sometimes as a blazing forest. In the ocean, however, an expert swimmer one may be, the struggle for existence is very severe. If someone comes forward and lifts the struggling swimmer from the ocean, he is the greatest savior. Perfect knowledge received from the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the path of liberation. The boat of Krishna consciousness is very simple, but at the same time the most sublime. I suggest we read one more text before me saying something more. Okay, so the text, chapter 4, text 37, yeah? Let's read the Sanskrit. Yatadamse samidognir basmasat kuruterjunam Jnanagrih sarva karmani basmasat kurute tatha. Very nice the Sanskrit language, very powerful. You immediately feel energized when you read Sanskrit, at least I do. So, the translation. As a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions of material activities. Wow. So let's read the purport. Perfect knowledge of self and super self and of the relationship is compared herein to fire. This fire not only burns up all reactions to impious activities, but also all reactions to pious activities, turning them to ashes. There are many stages of reaction. Reaction in the making, reaction fructifying, reaction already achieved, and reaction a priori. But knowledge of the constitutional position of the living entity burns everything to ashes. When one is in complete knowledge, all reactions, both a priori and a posteriori, are consumed. In the Vedas, the Vedic scripture Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad 4:22, it is stated, Ube Uchaivisha ete taratyamrita sada asaduni. One overcomes both the pious and impious reactions of work. Let's read one more time the shloka, the line, the text. So, as a blazing fire as a blazing fire turns firewood to ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn the ashes of all reactions to material activities. Wow. So, I like this line very much because Krishna actually here tells to Arjuna, because he already in this part he already how to say, like, dispelled his illusion of not doing the right thing, and he explained to him, he gives him here the spiritual science, the real knowledge, the true religious principles, or the religious principle. Actually, to act according to the will of God is the highest religious principles, and sometimes even this is like above the laws of material nature, above the laws of karma. So, for example, there is in the universe, also it's explained here in the Bhagavad Gita, how karma is reactions or the fruitive work. Yeah, so everybody mostly heard of karma in the Western world, I believe. So karma means you are doing something, whatever you do, it comes back to you later on as the fruits of your karma. So if you are doing good work, it comes back to you as good fruits or like as a reward. Or if you are doing like bad work, so there is principles duality, principle of good and bad, yin and yang in the material world. So always we have to enjoy or suffer. So that's the nature of material world, which is also explained here. So Krishna says here in this line to Arjuna that if you have the right knowledge, then you actually burn up all the reactions. Because, for example, everybody we want to enjoy in this world. Yeah, nobody likes to suffer. So when we have real knowledge, we are not attached we are doing good, not for getting any reward. So many people, many religious people even, they are praying to God, or I will be good, you give me this, give me that. But actually, from the true spiritual perspective, from the higher principle, higher spiritual principle, or higher understanding of religious science and spiritual science, there is actually when we surrender when we find the true wisdom, we don't even want to do good things just to get some reward. We want to do good things because we are happy within ourselves and we found God. So when you finally connect with God in this way, in a loving way, so love means not asking nothing in return. So when we surrender our free will, our ego to God, and then God guides us, and then we don't have when we have this true knowledge of love, knowledge of God, or knowledge of bhakti. Bhakti later on in the Bhagavad Gita is explained as the highest yoga. Yoga, there is many ways of yoga, many ways to connect with God, to different energies, different levels, different understandings. But the higher, what is described by Krishna later in the later chapters, or all yogas, of all different types of yoga, the bhakti or the love, devotion, yoga of devotion to God is the highest yoga. And in this, when we achieve this stage of development, of spiritual development, we then actually don't have any more fruits of our work, not good nor bad. Somebody would say, like, why not have the good? Why not enjoy your work? But for example, like many people, they want to go to heaven. It's possible. There is heavenly planets within this universe, within the material world, where one can actually go, reincarnate there. By the way, reincarnation is also a big part of Bhagavad Gita. How it is happening actually, by which means, actually by karma. So by good karma, by very extremely good karma, that very few people possess in this age, in the time that we're living in. So we can actually then go to heavenly planets, reincarnate there, and enjoy their very high material opulence. No, there is no disease there, no sickness, nothing smells bad, and so on. And it's a very long time we can stay there, but it's not forever. So when we finish, when our fruits, when our karma, good karma is finished, there is like a time limit to that. We again have to take birth in the earth and start over again. Start to the higher knowledge, to the knowledge to go to pure devotion to God, not just like, please give me this, give me that. So that is the science of Bhagavad Gita. that we have to find the true knowledge, true meaning of life, human life, to find what is the difference between spirit and matter, what is different levels of understanding of God, what is the spiritual evolution. So there is, like, for example, material evolution according to Darwin's theory, which is according to Vedas not accurate. So there is like evolution and devolution. So in the Vedic version, in the Vedic scriptures, so we can find out that actually there is 4 cycles of time: Satya, Dvapara, Treta, Kali Yuga. And then actually the humans, they are the most advanced spiritually in the Satya Yuga, in the golden age, first age, and it's the most longest age. And then it becomes less spiritual by the cycle, yeah? So by the next is less and less, and now presently we live in the most materialistic, least spiritual, yeah, cycle. It's called Kali Yuga, and it's the shortest one. But actually, human life is also very short in this cycle, up to 100 years, and later on up to 25 years by the advancement of Kali Yuga. And we just actually are 5,000 years in the Kali Yuga that lasts altogether 432,000 years. And at the end of every cycle, and the end of every Yuga means the age, so God comes in different forms. So last time he came officially is when he came as Krishna. Krishna was a great historical figure in India. So actually India, this is not, Bhagavad Gita is like not just an Indian Bible. It's actually meant for all humanity, not only for Indians or for Hindus. It is meant to free the soul from cycle of birth and death, from cycle reincarnation, and from the wrong concepts of life, to have a proper understanding of who we really are, that we are the soul, that we are not the body, that we are not this nation or that nation or this religion or that religion, Muslim or Hindu or Christian or American or Russian or whatever nation, let's say Indian. So to give us this proper understanding of who we really are, so in order we can actually connect with God. So all these shells, this is like shells of ego, of the false ego. False ego means me and mine, my country, my religion, my family. So there is all this karma also, personal karma, national karma, global karma, yeah, we are all taking part of it. So in order to exit, to escape from this wheel of birth and death, wheel of karma, the good or bad karma, that was the point. So we need to have a proper understanding of who we really are, that we are an eternal living being, a soul that is never dying, as Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita. Soul is never born, never dying. Krishna is the supreme soul. Krishna is like the ocean, and we are like the particle, or like the sun and the sunshine. We are the sunshine, we are the marginal energy, we are the jiva, we are the part. Eternally, we are the part. So there is another perspectives that they will say, oh, okay, yes, you are a soul, but when you like stop this reincarnation, or in Buddhism, when you stop desire, material desire, which is based on lust or false ego, then you like become the sun. Actually, the original teachings of Bhagavad Gita, or Bhagavad Gita as it is, it's not so. We are eternally a particle of this supreme soul, which is Krishna. Or for example, Native Americans, the Indians, they call Indians, but actually Native Americans, yeah, they have money too, the Great Spirit, which is really nice also. So we are like the part of this Great Spirit. And this Great Spirit, as we have forms, is not formless, it's actually also has a form. It has multiple forms and multiple names. As we did have multiple forms, multiple names that we don't remember in our previous lives. There is ways of hypnosis or regression, some mystics that can do to you. There is people that remember that past life, so for an honest seeker, that he will find that actually the reincarnation is a fact, not something made up. So yes, the point is that with this true knowledge, we then can come to transcend the consciousness, get free from our selfish desire of ego, and then be qualified in this way to understand God and act in the way, in a loving way, to other living beings. So in order to God to see us, to be able to also to see God ourselves and to talk with God. And one of the ways how to cleanse our consciousness is definitely reading the Vedic scriptures, the Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Purana, which is the part of the Samaveda. We said there is 4 Vedas. 4 Vedas, they deal with different subjects, or they could be also like dealing with economic development of material things. The Vedas are not, the Vedas means knowledge. The word Veda means knowledge. So knowledge is, there is a knowledge of material world, how the material world works, what is the best way, how to organize life on earth and elsewhere. So also there is a way how to exit all this, and this is the part in the Samaveda which will describe the activities of God, qualities of God, and one of them are the Bhagavad Gita or the Mahabharata. So Bhagavad Gita is the most important part of the Mahabharata, yeah? So it's actually this spiritual science that gives us the knowledge. And actually by studying the Bhagavad Gita myself, I also had a much easier it was much easier for me to then understand other religious scriptures and their true meanings, really, because they're mostly these other religious scriptures, they're not, because they're made for common folk, they're not very how to say, they're made in metaphoric ways. You don't take everything literally, yeah. And then Bhagavad Gita helped me to be a better Christian, to be a better Muslim, a better Jew even. So that is the advantage of the Vedas, of this ancient knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita or in the Vedic scriptures, Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's it actually for today. Please get your copy or follow. I will give more of the talks on the Bhagavad Gita, on other Vedic scriptures. What is great is that this knowledge is available to us today, even though this Kali Yuga is a very materialistic age, and there is many, let's say, like misguidings around, many how to say, the corruption is ever present in the countries, in governments, in religions. But still we have an opportunity for an honest seeker, for a truth seeker. We can find some universal truth, yeah, that is not being contaminated by some personal selfish desires or material motives, yeah. So me as such seeker for truth, for universal truth, not my truth, your truth, everything is truth, no. There is a universal truth that, you know, we can agree on. Different parties, different people that are searching for some knowledge, for some science, they will agree on these points. And there is, as I said, 3 ways as a yogi, where yogi attains his realizations. So Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, according to the Vedic philosophy. Guru, spiritual teacher. There is many spiritual teachers, and sometimes you find your own personal spiritual teacher or trainer, and or also you have like different teachers in life. One of them is your mother. Mother could be spiritual, could be not, but still she is one of the guru. The guru principles is present in our teachers in school, so everywhere we learn something, there is a guru principle, yeah? Guru, sadhu, shastra. Sometimes there is false gurus, but if we are an honest seeker, if we have some common sense and some basic IQ, nothing average IQ, even this knowledge could be understood to not the most. It's very, very Bhagavad Gita. That's why I like it. It's very clear. Everybody can understand it. You don't have to have a high IQ, very high. It's for also for common people. It's not that like I wanna underestimate other religions. It's for common folk, and this is only for the most highest IQ people. No, actually, it is for everybody. Everybody can understand, and if somebody has any difficulty with understanding, there is a purpose, there is explanation by every line by Bhaktivedanta Swami. So as a bird comes and chews the food a little bit to her little birds, children, then also some our gurus are so merciful also that also they like digest it for us and tell us. So then there is this purpose or comments by our guru. So there is this guru, spiritual teacher, spiritual master, that we have to find some masters that we can trust, actually, that are real gurus, not fake gurus, not cheaters. And then sadhu means he who has already attained the goal, attained enlightenment. So a person who is devoted to God or who has some spiritual, that has some spiritual realization, yeah? So we can learn from. So other seekers that are more advanced than us, as I said. So then, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Shastra is the religious scriptures. So Vedic scriptures or other religious scriptures, doesn't matter as long as you have a proper understanding. And as I said, I did not have a clear understanding of other religious scriptures until I read the Vedas, or until I read the Bhagavad Gita and other translation of the Vedic scriptures by Bhaktivedanta Swami and others, but mainly by him, because he's really I find him very accurate and trustworthy. And then in this way I was able to also understand more properly other religious scriptures. So I recommend to everybody, please follow up on our channel, Vedic Center or Vedisha Center in Vienna. We will have more such talks, maybe not only by me but some other people. And get your copy of the Bhagavad Gita. I wish you everybody a blissful evening, blissful Tuesday. If this video will go today, I don't know, but I think it will. There is other people engaged in this, putting this on internet. So if it's another day, have a nice day, nice evening, and I hear you some other time. Hare Krishna.